What is up, mofos? JJ back here with Holden talking a little MLB for Friday, August the 14th. It's going to be like a preview show like we've been doing. We'll go through game by game, give a quick kind of synopsis, betting angles that we're going to be targeting, and we'll each, of course, as always, give our best bets. Holden, it's been like, 5 days? How you been?
And I haven't even talked to you that much. It's like we were talking every single day. I'm looking at something here. So I'm an eighth Italian, right? And I used to wear 2 gold chains. But you have, what is that on your neck right now? Is that aluminum? Is it legit silver or gold? What are you wearing? Because
this guy's white gold. I've had this since high school. This guy is, I couldn't tell you what this is. My mom got this for me like 2 years ago, and I wear it because it makes her feel good.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it's worth. This guy's a little heavy though. I'll be honest. This guy's a little heavy.
Like that's the ultimate Italian wear, dude. Good job out of you.
Hey, look, if we could all be at least 1/8 Italian, I think we'll all be all right.
We'll all be all right, buddy. This is great. I'm so looking forward to doing this here. We got a big slate of baseball tomorrow. Any day we have baseball, people are complaining we only have like 5 or 6 games on Thursday. Are you kidding me? I mean, good God. There was day baseball on. I was telling you, I have not been able to nap this whole year. And I put the Mets and the Nats on in the background. It was so amazing. Only problem was I woke up at like 5 minutes after 3 my time, and I had forgotten that we already did our show on the Run Pure Sports side of things. We did one combo show, and I'm like shit my pants going, look at this. I've been here for 4 days, and I already missed the show, but I did.
I tell you what, real alphas nap, that's for sure.
Real alphas nap. Real alphas hang out with llama corns. Real alphas just do a lot of things,
Yes, hopefully that llama makes an appearance.
You might. You know who's not an alpha is Kyle Wright right now. Atlanta going up against Miami. The Marlins coming back down to earth. They've lost 3 or 4. They scored 87 runs, though, the other night in a win over Toronto. Pablo Lopez goes in his 3rd start. We got Kyle Wright, who's got a whip of over 2 JJ in his first 3 starts. I don't like what's going on with this kid right now. I'm not feeling very good about what's going on with Atlanta. We got a total right now, the consensus 8.5 minus 108. And then, that's it. And then minus 114 with the Braves favored on the road. What do you think of this line?
Yeah, so a very interesting line here for a few different reasons. I think most people will look at this line and kind of immediately wonder why the Braves are very, very small favorites against the Marlins. But you're right. Kyle Wright has been abysmal. ERA up over 6, and the advanced stuff doesn't really back him up either, as far as like his Sierra, FIP, XFIP, and such. And Pablo Lopez was a guy that the quote-unquote sharps loved last year. Just a dude that had much better peripherals, at least specifically early in the middle of the year, than his surface numbers. And again, here he's got decent numbers again, at least to start the year. ERA of 5.09, but he does project to be better onward. I tell you what, right now, you can't be feeling too good, as crazy as this is going to sound, betting against the Marlins. This team has just been stroking the bat. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, maybe the strip club helped. We discussed this the last time. But ultimately, this is a team that's really hitting the ball really well. So to look at a game like this, it's very difficult to just assume the Braves are a value spot. And it's also hard to dictate where this line is going to go because, again, Kyle Wright is not a fun pitcher to back. I think the target, if you're going to look at a spot to target here, it's probably going to be an over. It's just a matter of how you want to bet it. You could bet first 5 over. You could bet the game over. Not a spot I really love. 8.5 is a decent size total for that big Marlins ballpark, right? But ultimately, if I'm going to bet this game, which again, I don't love this spot for a few different reasons, just a lot of variables going into this one, it would probably be the over at 8.5.
Yeah, I'm completely fading this too, buddy. I'm not even looking at that right now. We got kind of a doubleheader. We're not going to bother with that first game. They're in the top of the 6th, and Baltimore and Washington had a rain delay, so that's game 1. They're going to come back. Did you see what happened to Strasburg today?
No, I missed it. What happened?
So Strasburg's sitting out in the stands because that's what a lot of players are doing now. And there was a horrible call, and all of a sudden you hear it on the TV, and you hear, "Fucking bullshit! It's a horrible call!" And he's screaming at him, and the Mets announcers are going, "We're sorry. You had to hear these awful words. Sorry, FTC." And then all of a sudden you just see, I don't even remember who the umpire was. He goes, "You're out." And Strasburg had to get out of his seat and leave He's already pissed off. He's coming off a rough start. 5 runs, just a couple of Ks. He walked a couple here, 4 to third innings in his debut. He's going up against an Orioles team. We've talked about it. You can sleep on these guys all you want. They got an offense. They do have some bats. We saw what they did to Philadelphia. The Orioles are going with Tommy Milone. He had 6 shutout innings against the Nats earlier this season, but he is giving up a 43% fly ball rate, a 48% hard hit. Like, how do you throw 6 shutout innings when you're getting crushed like that?
Yeah, so at least at a surface level, he's been a pleasant surprise, right? 3.21 ERA. And advanced numbers semi back him up. You did give a few good statistics there that aren't on his side, specific to that line drive rate. That's always scary, right? You see that number climb into the 40s. It is a small sample, though, right? But ultimately, surface-wise, he's been okay. 14-inning sample, though. Now, Strasburg's been a bit unlucky, rocking an ERA over 10. Doesn't project that even close to that moving forward. Now, the Nats are coming off a few losses. And as you mentioned, the Orioles are just hitting. Like, I look at a line like this with minus 190 in favor of the Nats. Like, I think we said this. It might have been about the Nats the last time we did. Like, how do you lay that with them right now? Like, I understand, like, Strasburg is who he is, and he's always going to take money. But that's just too big a line. If I'm targeting a spot in this game, and again, we'll talk on games that I actually like, but it would be the Orioles run line. Grab the 1.5. You should be able to get that. I don't know if you'll be able to get run line tonight, but if you were going to get it maybe tomorrow, plus 1.5 at they're the road team. So you plus 1.5 would probably be about minus 110-ish against the Nats.
Yeah. So that's what I got. The total's at 9 minus 120. And then let's see here. Again, they're heavy favorites. There's just no way, man. I mean, I'm not going to bet this, but if you ask me which side I'm on plus 165, man. Yeah. The Orioles are playing better baseball. I mean, Malone is not good. Strasburg, I still have questions whether or not he's going to settle down in the second start. So I'm with you. If I had to lean one way, though, I'd go with the Orioles. I'd just go in the money line at this point. Yeah, there
you go. Grab your nuts and grab the 165 with them.
Yeah, just if you're going to do something stupid, just go ahead and do it. Just double down. It's stupid. So I don't know who's starting for the Rays. We haven't seen that yet, but the Rays are visiting the Blue Jays. It's the Buffalo Blue Jays. My man, we did the show last week. Tanner Roark was starting. Here we go. Again, didn't like him last week. Don't like him again. He's having issues finding the strike zone in that start. He's got a 5.63 ERA so far this season. You got to think, right? The line is not even up at any of the books because we don't know who the starter is on the other side. I don't know what the total is going to be for the Rays, but that is something that I would look into once that is posted. Maybe even a 4.5. I don't know where the juice would go on that. 4.5 runs, 5.
Yeah, so for sure. So it's going to be at least 4.5. They're going to be guaranteed 9 at-bats on the road. I think that and look, the Rays are just really hitting. I mean, those bats absolutely opened up. I know that we talked about how cold they were for a while there, but these bats have opened up. Now, you could maybe argue the Red Sox pitching did them a few favors, but man, that team up and down the lineup. Would they put up another 17 runs tonight? So, obviously you have some concerns about them traveling. I know there's been a bit of an issue with some bats traveling overnight early on in the season, but something that we've also noticed recently are overs. Like this week in particular, the last 3 to 4 days, a lot of games going over now. And I don't think it's an anomaly either. I think these players are starting to get more into form, especially hitting wise, and maybe it's all happening at the same time. But I do think that you're going to continue to see runs for the next at least week or so. And I think you're going to see some padded totals too. So don't just assume, so now is when I'll just bet overs throughout. No, because I think the books are going to start to adjust this about a half run for certain games. This total, I would expect this to be high. I don't care who's pitching for the Rays. This total has to be high. Tampa should be able to put up runs. They've been hot. Rourke has not been very good this year. And the Blue Jays have plenty of sticks of their own. Wouldn't surprise me if this total's, I guess 9.5, 10-ish.
I don't know who's going for the Rays. I mean, that's the whole thing. And I bet you're right at 10. But here's my issue, and I want to just bounce this off you before you keep going. The Blue Jays have the 3rd lowest on-base percentage in baseball at 293. I mean, I know they put some runs up against the Marlins, but that Marlins bullpen is horrible. You talk about overs there. It depends on who is throwing for the Rays. But I think if there's anybody competent, I might actually look at their team total under. Their offense is just brutal.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you could even target this in 2 directions. You could go team total over Rays, team total under Jays. You're right. The Jays haven't been in, and Guerrero Jr. man, is that dude in a slump. So, and he's obviously was in the heart of the lineup. And they have a few guys at the top two between Bichette and guys just aren't really slapping it together for the Jays. So ultimately, I don't mind that call at all. But again, you got to know who's throwing, of course. But probably makes a lot of sense too to just keep riding the Rays hot bats. You're going to be. Here's the thing: at worst, you're going to get base runners throughout the game. It's just a matter of if they can push over five runs through for you.
I think that's a great point too, with the runs going up and the weather. At some point in time, it was all going to click, because I assumed that we were going to have an advantage right away because of the warmer weather. Now, I don't know if that paid off, to tell you the truth, but now we've got warm weather, and the hitters are starting to get their groove. They're starting to catch up. So I'm with you, man. Overs are going to look sexy, but don't just bet an over because a whole bunch of runs are being scored. I think we see that as a problem with a lot of novice bettors. What are you laughing at? What? Huh?
No, I mean, of course. I mean, you're like, don't just blindly bet overs. I mean, yeah, of course.
They do it. They're just
right.
Oh, it's only 9. Let's bet over.
You're 100% right. Guys like Mangone do it.
Totally, Mangone. Mangone is so into that. No doubt. And he is a communist. There's no doubt about it. The Mets and Phillies, we don't know who's going for the Phillies yet. God damn it. That's a little frustrating, but we do know Jacob deGrom is going. So if we don't have a line yet, I don't see any line in this game because we don't know who's going for the Phillies. So hold on a second. We're getting some movement here on that Strasburg, Baltimore, Washington game. We're going to talk about that in a minute, though. We don't know. All we know is that deGrom's going out there, 28 Ks, 5 walks in 22 innings, .95 whip. This is the best pitcher in baseball in my eyes. I love Max Scherzer. I love Verlander. I love Cole. This is the guy. You've got to think the Phillies – what are the Phillies over run total? 3.5? Top?
I mean, this game, yeah, so they're at home. It'll probably be 3.5 at dog money to go over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an interesting spot for the Mets always when deGrom's out there, right? It just seems like overall he just never gets that true run support, right? But we don't know who's going for Phillies, so that makes it even more interesting. But you do know what you get out of deGrom, right? So you can always potentially target a team total under for the Phillies. The Phillies did start to kind of get their bats going too, though. Granted, it was against the Orioles, but a team coming in with some bats. And look, deGrom did struggle against the Marlins the last time out. Like, I know that I brought up the Marlins earlier on that they've been hitting. Like, they had no problem filling up the bases against deGrom. Now, they didn't like pile on runs, but they put him in jams like half of the innings he was starting, and then until he unraveled, I think in the 5th where again they gave up 2 or 3 runs. But, coming off that start, you'd figure deGrom will kind of settle himself in. He's just so good. Like, I feel like you're never really worried. Like, bases loaded, no outs. You're still like, we're fine. Like, he'll get us out of this. It's not really a worry. But, best pitcher in baseball, definitely 100% in the argument for sure. I mean, look, Bieber's been incredible for Cleveland.
Who are the Beavers?
But, obviously DeGrom's longevity's much better there. But, tough game overall, I guess, to call without knowing who the Philly pitcher is. But, if you have any questions, of course, fire them in the Discord.
Do you know how old Jacob deGrom is?
Well, if I had to guess, if I had to guess, I'd say 29.
32.
Wow.
Right? Because he came in late. He was 26 when he finally got his shot.
And out of all those Mets aces, I mean, he was like the least likely to be the guy out of all those studs. I mean, Jesus. And now you look at all of them, and it's crazy that he's the last one standing. Not even just like he's the last one standing. I mean,
not only that. I mean, Harvey was great his rookie year in like 15. Syndergaard's been good, but none of them looked as good as deGrom has the last 2 years. And this is why I say it. He's done it for a couple of years now. That's why I think he's the best pitcher. It was Scherzer until late last year, and I'm like, all right, fine, it's deGrom. And Cole's there too. And we got Cole going for the Yankees against Boston. Cole's been pretty good too. .94 whip, 26 Ks, 22 in the 3rd innings. Don't have a pitcher yet for Boston. We don't have the that side there. But I do want to talk about the Yankees with you because we're not going to have Judge. We're not going to have Stanton. We're likely not going to have Judge. No Judge, no Stanton. Things have gotten a little bit interesting. I know Cole is on the bump here. The Boston pitchers stink. What do you think of that Yankees offense, though, down the 2 big bats?
Well, that means, of course, inject big cock Clint Frazier. Absolute freak. If only, he could bring his glove to Major League Baseball games. Kid would be an absolute stud. But look, that lineup up and down. We saw this, I believe it was last year, where this team lost like half their team to a rehab facility, and they were plugging in just AAA guys and just winning. Like, not even just winning, like hitting too. Like, it wasn't like they were winning because of their pitching. Like, they were just finding ways to win with what I'll call it small ball. It really wasn't true small ball, but it was like not as many home runs and just more moving guys over, singles, doubles, stringing together hits. I'm not concerned. Like, don't get me wrong, Judge is obviously one of the best players in baseball, and Stanton up there as well. But I'm not as concerned. Like a team like the Yankees, with how deep they are, I'm really not as concerned losing those two guys. Now, as far as this start goes, look, how do you just, like, at this point, it's just silly to keep the people that are fading Garrett Cole. Like, don't get me wrong, like, he could lose, of course. I mean, he could lose, win, whatever. But what is it, 23 straight starts now? Like, at what point are you just like, you know what? I'm just going to ride it. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that's trying to buck this streak. He is tough to score runs against, and now has a gigantic offense behind him. Not a spot I'm going to want to be targeting Boston, especially how they're coming into this game. So I'm not sure what the line will be specifically. I have to assume it's in Yankee Stadium or Boston.
It's Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, so you got to figure this line's going to be at least, what, 190, 200 at least?
I was going to say 200. So here's my question for you then. That's just so much juice. Like, is it even worth it at this point? Cole is almost as good of a lock as there is. There's no locks. He's almost as good, but at what point do you just say I can't do it because the juice is too much?
Yeah, so it brings up a good question about value, right? Like, I'm somebody that typically publicly will only give out plays minus 135, minus 140 at the most. But with that said, value is value, right? It's just the bigger the price goes, the more value you need. So, like, you saying there's value on a minus 200 favorite because you think it's minus 220 isn't the same amount of value as me saying I like a minus 120 because it should be minus 140. So just because they're both 20 cents, it's actually not the same. Like, as your price goes up, you need more of a favorable, pennies in your favor. So we'll say, for hypothetical states, that if you felt the line should be 240, that's still 40 cents in your favor. It makes a minus 200 line favorable. You just need to be right that minus 240 is the line it should be. Now, this line probably will be minus 200-ish, maybe a little more, a little less. But, man, it's hard to bet on Boston right now. I don't like ever laying home team run lines, so not going to be something I do either. You could do first five, where you'll probably lay half a run at like minus 160, minus 150, something like that. But a tough overall spot. Again, we don't even know who's pitching for Boston. We just know Boston's giving up a ton of runs. They are hitting, though, a bit. So something to consider there. But, not a spot I'm probably going to target at all. But the people that are fading Garrett Cole, it's, at what point does it just become, a bad decision?
And they're just fading Garrett Cole because of the value or the perceived lack thereof.
I mean, people are betting against him. Like, the lines haven't been moving that much, the Garrett Cole lines, for his first 3 or 4 starts. So people are definitely betting the other side. Now, who specifically, I don't know, but the handle clearly isn't in that much of a favor of the Yankees because the lines aren't moving that much. But yeah, at the end of the day, I find it very difficult to be fading Cole, at least until you see something different physically.
Hey, just real quick, I'm just seeing where the Nationals line moved. Let's see here. It really didn't move too much at all. It just had a whole bunch of blinking lights on there. So basically, I saw some from 190. So it looks like it did as a consensus to 180. Yeah.
I mean, I guess your typical line movement. For a game like that overnight. But again, that 190 was a thick line, so I'm not surprised to see it drop 10 cents like that.
No. Okay. So, and just one more thing on Cole. I mean, you can beat him. I mean, you can get runs on him. The problem is, how often is that going to happen? Because he didn't look great. He had double-digit strikeouts against the Rays, but he didn't look great. He didn't get out of 5th inning. The problem is that the Yankees bullpen is so good.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's just his starts with that bullpen, like, it's just, I can't imagine you're going to be profitable fading him every start this year. No.
But here's an interesting one for you. So we got Aaron Savali against Ivan Nova. It's Cleveland at Detroit. The Indians still, we're a week later, the Indians' offense is still the worst in baseball, statistically. They're just doing absolutely nothing. It's blowing my mind here. Savali, on the other hand, here's another great young pitcher that the Indians have turned in. They're not going to have our boys Plesac or Clevenger because the two ding-dongs decided to go out. How about that? Like, I know you're young. I did dumb things when I was young, but I didn't put a full sport at risk of shutting down. Okay, I never did anything that dumb.
Some head scratching from those two, to say the least. I mean, for sure.
What are you doing? Come on, guys, get it together. Anyways, back to the game. Here's the line. We got, this is big. It opened at minus 165. Let me see. Yeah, now it's 171. So we're looking at 171. But the visitor line, the home line with Detroit is 153. So, JJ, here's the deal. Savali, we know, is good. Nova has been a disaster. He's never been a strikeout pitcher, always a ground ball guy. He's starting to give up some fly balls. He's given up 24 base runners in 15 and 2/3 innings. So what you're doing is you're going to say, what's worse, Nova or the Indians' offense?
Favorite bet on the slate for me here.
Yeah.
I already locked this into our spreadsheets about an hour ago. First 5 under 4.5, minus 106. Actually, it might have been minus 104. So it's a few things. Now, I grant we said on this show a while back that just Cleveland first 5 unders have been incredible, and the idea is that it's crazy to me that they're going to continue to open with these numbers. Wait, hold on one second. It's crazy to me that they're going to continue to open with these numbers when you think about it, like. At what point do they start hanging 3.5s and 4s for these first 5s? Because you're just not getting runs from Cleveland. Now the argument here becomes Ivan Nova, right? Ivan Nova is a complete gas can, right? Death taxes and his ERAs in the 5s, but now he's going up against a team that's just not hitting. So and then you get Savali who's been pitching really well too. So I like this spot, and I also like a spot in the Reds game, which we're going to talk about as well. Actually, I mean, to be honest, I might like the Reds spot more, but I do like this spot under for a first 5. It just kind of makes sense again with how poor Cleveland and the fact that they're just continuing to hang up this number of 9 with these games. But we'll I guess we'll have to see how it goes, how it plays out. But Ivan Noah is always a big head scratcher, right?
Yeah, but listen, batting average doesn't matter, but they're hitting 195. Like, you've got to get some bad breaks to hit that bet, but they're hitting under 200. We're sitting here 30% into the season. These guys are hitting under 200, at least for most teams, right? Their ISO is 0.98. They've just got nothing, and it's fascinating. They got 2 of the best young players. I mean, Lindor's one of the best players in the game. Jose Ramirez, this is just it's blowing my mind how bad they are. So.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. Like I do like this under, but I did misspeak. The first 5 under that I really like is going to be in the Reds game that we're going to talk about. I do like this spot, but definitely not nearly as much as the game we're about to talk about.
Yeah, you like it. You like it more than me. I like that you have a harder conviction. I'm scared that finally the Indians get it going. Like just one game because Nova's been so bad. This is the spot. But hasn't Vegas just been getting, line makers? They've just been getting crushed with these unders against the Indians. I feel like they're starting to find a little bit in the line, but that's the biggest way to get an advantage over Vegas right now.
Yeah, the first 5 Indians games under has been a cash cow since the start of the year.
All right, let's do your game. You love this game. Chad Kuhl, Sonny Gray. My sense is that you're going to go under the first 5, but I'll wait for you to tell me. 8.5 is the total, minus 120, and then what? You've got Cincinnati just. Yeah.
So yes, I want to be clear. I got a little mixed up when we were talking about the last game, but this game in particular is the one I really like. So Sonny Gray, ERA 2.25, great advanced numbers as well. Also a silly high K rate. I think he's up past 13 per 9. And look, Chad Kuhl's been pretty good as well. And what scares me the most about this game is the Pirates bullpen. Just not anything I want to be a part of late in this game. And, for me, I haven't checked the weather specifically for Cincinnati for tomorrow. But even if it was like super warm, like the total is just too hot. Like this is like your standard odds maker total. Open it at 9. It's a Cincinnati game. One good pitcher, maybe, one above average pitcher, one good pitcher, even if you believe in Chad Kuhl. But Sonny Gray's been great. But, for me, this number, it shouldn't have opened at 9. And I think you're already starting to see it dip down to 8.5. It's going to impact the first 5. It'll start making the first 5. You'll start having to lay vig on the first 5, 4.5. But ultimately, just a real good spot, I feel, for the under. And I think, like I said, again, probably a half run off. It probably should be 4. Wouldn't even surprise me if it closed at 4. But, yeah, really like this spot with the pitchers specifically to get us there.
Well, I mean, Chad Kuhl has 12 Ks in 9 innings, but here's the thing. If you're worried about the Pittsburgh bullpen, like you should be, Kuhl's not going past 5. Like, that's his limit. His limit is 5 innings. So you're going up against the Tigers team. It's kind of been hit and miss offensively. I'm going back to the wrong game here. Chad Kuhl, Sonny Gray. Duh. Yeah, Chad Kuhl, a 5 innings max. So if you are against the Pittsburgh bullpen, why wouldn't you maybe look at it just a full game? Full game line here, because you got Sonny Gray in Pittsburgh. Their full game line, though, is what, almost 200? Is it? What's the minus here?
Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's about
193, 194, 205. Yeah, forget about it. No, stupid.
It's heavy. And you could even target a team total if you wanted. Pirates team total under if you wanted. Yeah. But the first 5 is definitely my favorite bet, probably on the whole slate.
Hey, we're live, aren't we?
We are live.
You're saying hi to us? Yeah, everything going well. Hello, everybody. How are you? Atlanta, Miami is a game we already got to. So Royals, Twins, Jake Junis, Jake Odorizzi. So interesting. Just digging in for the Royals offense. They crush the baseball. They're 12th in OPS, but they have a .311 on base percentage. So basically, they're hitting a whole bunch of solo and 2-run shots. That's not going to kill you. That's good. Junis and Odorizzi came off and made his first start of the season. In his last start, nothing to write home about, nothing terrific there. Junis faced the Twins on Friday. He gave up 5 hits, struck out 2 in 4 2/3 innings. So these two sides are very familiar with each other, JJ.
Yeah, so I know we spoke last week. I think these two teams were playing each other last weekend as well. I was pretty confident that we'd see more Minnesota money sway a line against the Royals, but we really didn't. We saw Royals money really come in. Kind of one of those sides where public was sort of on Minnesota. Royals line was moving it. But Royals money was moving it. And I have to assume you'll see something similar here. Like the sharp market per se, quote unquote, loves the Royals this year. Like it's just a lot of lines are moving in favor of the Royals. And a lot of lines recently have been moving against the Twins. Like for instance, the Kenta Maeda line yesterday, like it opens like minus 140 the night before, and then I wake up, it's minus 128, and then even saw it dip to like minus 122 before that late Twins money came in before it started. And like Minnesota's still scoring runs. I think they won by like 17 runs yesterday. Now, granted, they've been a little cold and they've been a little hurt since Donaldson's been out. So the middle of that lineup's definitely been hurt losing him. But this lineup still top to bottom is a good lineup, especially against left-handed pitching. Now, they're not going to get a left-hander here with Junis, but ultimately this team still got live bats. And it's just one of those spots where you're going to get people that are going to back Junis in this spot. And Odorizzi, they both haven't been good. I don't know. Junis has ugly numbers. So does Odorizzi. If I'm going to target a spot, it'll probably be the over at 9.5. Seems a little light with these two. But again, 9.5 is a big number for the Royals ballpark. So I guess it kind of evens itself out there. But betting a gun in my head, it would be over 9.5, but not a spot I love.
Yeah, let's see here. It's 160, so minus 160 for the Twins. I think the Twins have the best offense in baseball. I know that the Yankees are right there, but Stanton and Judge aren't in. If Stanton and Judge are in there, they have the best. But the Twins are right there with them. They can explode at any point in time. I get a sense, first of all, Odorizzi had that debut. He had 3-inning debut. I mean, so it's not like he really went out there and did anything. I'm still not sold on him going deep in the second start either, because there's probably going to be a pitch limit again. He had that oblique injury. But with Junis, Junis is going right back to face the Twins again, and that always makes me a little uncomfortable. And this is also a guy that just does not have great peripherals. He's left his lifetime WHIP is almost 1.4, so it's 1.34. So he allows base runners too. I like the Twins over in this one. What is it, 5.5?
It'll be high. It's a home team. So you got a chance at a home team that's favored. You have a chance you'll lose that 9th at bat. Yep. So you're going to have to get those runs in 8 at bats. I'd assume if this totals, I guess it's got to be 5.5 at dog. It'll be 5.5 at dog money.
That's going to be the tough part about it. But man, I just love the Twins. It's almost like every night I'll just throw a itty bitty bet in on the Twins offense just so I can prove myself right. I mean, I lose half the time, but the other half of the time, whatever. It's a horrible bet. I just like to make myself feel good. Anything else on this game? We all done?
No.
Stick a fork in it. Beautiful. Brewers Cubs. Well, Yu Darvish action. Did you see you? He had the no-hitter going. Justin Smoke broke it up. But this Milwaukee offense, we go back to another team, JJ. The Brewers offense is right at the bottom in a lot of different things. On base percentage.
How crazy is that?
It's really bad. It's because Yelich just hasn't been consistently good to this point. They also don't have Moustakas. They also don't have Shaw. They let a lot of guys walk. Didn't Lorenzo Cain is gone too, I believe. So they're struggling offensively. They really are. And here's my question for you then. Tyler Chatwood, not very good. Lifetime 1.40 whip, but he's got 23 Ks and 4 walks in 15 innings. Like, this guy went back to his form in Colorado, I think, a couple of years ago. He's gotten off to a hot start, and he's facing a Brewers team with Brandon Woodruff. I mean, it's always risky trusting pitchers like Chatwood that aren't going to blow you away, but this might be a spot where I actually like the Cubs a little bit.
Yeah, so a few things for Chatwood. So everybody was very bullish on Tyler Chatwood after his first few starts, and for obvious reasons. Like, if you look at his advanced numbers, they were good. They were really good. And then he has a little bit of a blow up here in his last start, but if you really dig into the advanced numbers on that start, it wasn't really that bad either. So his numbers are good, and they can back him up as well. He's definitely doing something different. I haven't dug into the exact if maybe he's throwing new pitches, or if maybe if his velocity is a little higher, or maybe he just drank the Space Jam juice. But he's been much better this year. Now the issue that I have with this line in particular is, man, that's such a cheap price on Woodruff. Like, he is such a good pitcher, and that is such a cheap price. So for me, it would be like -113, -114. But the problem is, like you said, Milwaukee's just not hitting. Christian Yelich is still not hitting, and it is tough to lay that type of any vig for that matter, any juice with a team on the road that's just not hitting. And then you couple that with Chatwood. If I'm gonna lean a spot here, it'll probably be the full game under. You're not gonna know the total because you gotta wait for the wind, right? It's Wrigley, so. But I have to see how the wind could impact it. But at the end of the day, an under would make a lot of sense here. The Brewers aren't hitting. Chatwood's been good. Woodruff's great. It would make a lot more sense to if you're going to target something, it'd be the under.
Yeah, and here's the question you just have to ask yourself. Do you believe in the first couple of starts where Chatwood isn't walking anybody? That's been his big issue in the past, free passes. Look at that. The last 3 years for Chatwood, his walk rate is 14.5%, JJ. Now, if you think he cleaned it up here,
I can't speak to it on a large sample, of course, but on a small sample with what we've seen this year, the numbers back him up. Numbers back up what we've seen. I think that's why people really liked him in his last start, and maybe they'll say maybe everybody who liked him maybe now gets this bias against him, which might be what's impacting this line a bit. Moving now, it looks like it just swapped again about 10 cents up to -120 at some spots.
The Brewers are the Brewers favored?
Brewers, I believe, are favored. Yeah. They're a road favorite.
Yeah, so I actually really like this line for the Cubs. I like the money line.
I mean, it makes more sense to grab it's a coin flip game. So I mean, laying vig is kind of silly.
Yeah. I don't think there's a coin flip game. Every baseball game is, right, but. I mean, he was great against the Brewers and Pirates. He was bad against Kansas City. I'm going to buy into him making an adjustment to a lower walk rate, and I will take – this is a bet that I like with the Cubs money line. I love Brandon Woodruff too. I mean, he went 5 innings, gave up just a couple runs opening day at Wrigley. So that was something.
That's a good point on Chatwood. Like, his biggest struggles are the walks. If that can neutralize, he's probably a lot better than what we've seen the last few years. Yeah,
I'm with you. And then you also – even if the wind is blown out, who the hell cares at this point? I just think the Cubs are a better team. They're a lot better team than I thought that they were coming into the season. I am worried about their bullpen. Their bullpen has been horrid. Their xFIP's over 5. There's only 4 or 5 teams that have been that bad. And the Brewers bullpen is terrific. I mean, they're top 6 or 7 bullpen. I just think that Chatwood in this offense, I just like it better than what the Brewers are doing. They just can't score any runs, man. It's blowing my mind. If you're telling me you think that the Brewers are going to put more than 3 runs, there's another thing. I think that if its team totals 3.5 or under, I'm totally going under on that. I'm completely against the Brewers. I'm not even betting the Cubs as much as anti-Brewers. And
It's probably going to be more than 3.5. I mean, if the wind's blowing in a lot, it'll be 3.5. But I think if we're saying the wind is nothing tomorrow, I think it's going to be more than 3.5.
Well, what direction would you go then? Given that I think the Brewers' offense is almost as bad as the Indians right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing, right? That's why it's so hard to lay the price with Woodruff, even though that's such a small tag for him, right? But you're right. Like how do you lay anything any vig with a team that's just not hitting? So I mean I get that perspective. It wouldn't be a spot I'd really want to bet anything on. But again, the under makes the most sense.
The under makes the most sense. Very good. Let's move on. As I got the Rangers and the Rockies. So Ryan Castellini was starting the last time you and I talked. And I said, this guy is freaking horrible because if you look at his minor league numbers, this is his minor league numbers, 653 innings, a 1.4 whip. So he allows a lot of people on base. He had just 531 Ks in 635 innings. He's not a good pitcher. I mean, he's just a guy that you throw in at the back end of the rotation as a spot starter. And that's where he is right now. He had 4 shutout innings against the Mariners, though, in his major league debut. That's interesting. The Rangers don't hit. That's interesting. The other good thing, though, is Lance Lynn. He's terrific. Big right-hander with Texas. Turned his career around. 2-0, 1.16 ERA. Already picked up 30 Ks. And on top of that, JJ, 2.84 ERA and 4 starts at Coors Field. He's been okay there to this point. Now, the Rockies are playing great and the Rangers are playing awful. I'm looking forward to your breakdown here.
Yeah, so Lance Lynn, what a turnaround for this dude's career. And not even that, like sometimes you see pitchers kind of like revitalize themselves. Maybe they get a real good cutter, right? And then now they just can find all of a sudden they find a lot more outs. Like Lance Lynn's like K rate somehow went up like crazy last year from his career versus his career. And the K rate sustaining into this year. It's just crazy. Like he doesn't do anything great. I think he does throw a cutter. Now that maybe is the big sell pitch for him, but it's incredible to watch. And like this dude gets into jams and like just consistently gets out of them too. Now Coors Field is its own animal. Now those numbers he has are good, but I don't know how much you can really buy into that. Coors Field is an anomaly in itself. But an interesting dynamic here because again, like you said, Castellani is just a really bad pitcher. I mean
You there, buddy? I think you froze up a little bit. There you go. I got you back. You back? Say hi.
Sorry about that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, good.
I'm back. It's the dial-up. It's the dial-up internet. I'm not sure where I got lost, but Castellani is just a bad pitcher. So it's very difficult. The guy can't even get outs in AAA. So when you look at a line like this, it's like, man, it's such a small line with Lance Lynn, but the Rockies are hitting. So if there's a spot you want to target. And Joey brings up a good point. Lance is just a straight innings eater, right? So spot you want to target, for me, it'll probably be Rangers team total over. Now, it's going to be a big number. It's going to be a big number for a team that's not hitting. But, man, you got to figure if a team's going to hit, it's going to be against this dude, and it's going to be at Coors. And at least the Rangers have a bunch of lefties, which makes you feel a little better. If I'm going to target, it'll be the Rangers team total over, which looking at 12, they're favored. It's going to be probably 6.5. Which is a little scary, but you are guaranteed 9 at-bats. That would be the spot I would target. Again, not something I really love, but I feel like you're probably going to get a decent start from Lance Lynn. If you don't, you could still get runs from Texas anyway. So team total over Texas would be my angle.
So that's interesting that you bring up the Rangers offense because we need to talk about that for a second. There's one team in baseball with less home runs than the Texas Rangers. In 259 games, let's see here, whatever they've had, 614 at-bats, 12 home runs, 12. The Marlins have missed half the season. They got 15. The Cardinals have 6. The Indians have 13. The Rangers have 12. I'm looking at the Rangers the same way that I'm looking at the Indians. I don't feel comfortable with them putting up numbers even against this Castellini character. The Rockies bullpen has been good enough. So I'm going to fade this. You make some great points. I just don't feel – I like Lynn a lot, and I can't stand the Rangers' bats. So
it makes a lot of sense.
The game, it doesn't happen. What?
No, I said it makes a lot of sense. It's not exactly easy to bet a team that hasn't been scoring to now score 7 runs. I mean, I could definitely understand that perspective.
Well, then that brings this up too. Like, Where is the sample size in baseball? We love big sample sizes. We love 2 years, 3 years sample sizes. But are you looking at, hey, the last 5 games, all of a sudden the Rangers are going to start picking it up? Like, in your process, what are the recent trends that you look at?
Yeah, so specifically speaking, I'm not really a trends guy.
Okay.
Like 8 for 10 against the spread last 10, or this team's gone over their team total 5 of the last 6, because I do believe that once it becomes a trend, the market over adjusts to it, right? And ultimately more numbers come out, or bigger numbers come out, which if you're betting overs, or smaller numbers come out if you're betting unders, which will impact, that trend publicity will begin to impact the market. But as it relates to the Rangers here, like, you just see it all the time, right? Like a team that's not hitting, that can't find their stride.
Yep.
And then they just kind of stumble into cores, the old magic kingdom for runs, if you will. And they just find it. Like, they just find sticks. Like the Giants last year couldn't score runs ever. They went to cores and they just started piling on runs. It's just that field, the air, everything about it. It's like, it's just so easy to get hits there. And you're telling me that Texas is going to get a pitcher that can't get outs. To me, like, if there was a spot for Texas to finally wake up some part of their bats, and again, like, this team doesn't have like shit bats all over the lineup. Like, they have some guys that can hit. They have Elvis Andrews. They have Joey Gallo. This team's got some hitters. Rougned Odor. So like, to me, if there's a spot where they're going to score runs, it'll be this weekend. But ultimately, this will be the spot that I'll target them to score.
12.5 team total. Or are you just going to go Rangers total?
If I was gonna, if you're somebody, hey, gun in my head, I need to make a bet for this game. For me, it would be over team total Rangers. Not a spot I love.
All right, Seattle at Houston. How about the Astros? 8-10. As we talk about this, they're not good. Their bullpen is a complete shit show. The Mariners are 7-13. Remember that little hot start they got off of? But our boy Kikuchi, it's looking rough, man. He usually gets blitzed by the Astros at 5 starts against him. ERA almost 6.5. I get it. ERA is not the greatest indicator, but the guy has been beaten up by the Astros. Framber Valdez, huge fan of this guy. 6 1/3 relief shutout innings there. And then against Oakland, he gave up 1 run in 7 innings. I'm a big-time Framber guy, even though the Astros are just playing like doo-doo right now. And it's a little concerning, but it's minus 190. I'm not even going to bother with it. The total's 8.5, 9, minus 20. So,
yeah, definitely not a spot I love either way. Anytime you throw a lefty at the Astros, though, it's always, anytime you bet a lefty against the Astros, you're always going to be biting your fingernails. But Kikuchi definitely had a little bit of spark right before this most recent start where he didn't really throw well at all. A little increased velo for him, maybe 1 or 2 new pitches, but it definitely didn't work out for him in his last start. Interesting to see how he bounces back here, because this is a tough lineup up and down to just consistently get outs if you're a left-handed pitcher. Framber Valdez, look, the numbers don't lie. He is a good pitcher. And now draws a semi-weak Seattle lineup that showed some sparks, but ultimately relatively weak lineup. So tough all around to target. I wouldn't want to play the team total under for Seattle. The team total over for Houston's going to be high, and then you're only going to get 8 at bats most likely. Just a spot overall that I'm also off.
Dodgers at the Angels. This one minus 156 on the money line for the Dodgers with Kershaw going up against Sandoval. That actually just moved up to 162 at one book. The total is 9. So, JJ, I think if you're betting this game, you got to figure out what you think about Clayton Kershaw. Because he looked great in that first start, 5 2/3 shutout against Arizona, but then, he's getting hit pretty hard against the San Francisco Giants, which was a little disappointing. I still think this is the best pitcher I've ever seen with my own eyes. This guy's absolutely amazing, but he's definitely on the downside of his career. The injuries, the velo's down. Patrick Sandoval, big time lefty, gave up 2 runs, 6 Ks against Texas. He did give up a homer to Joey Gallo in that start. The Angels are a team that I have fallen in love with offensively. Maybe they're not the best offense, but think about going through that lineup there. La Stella, Trout, Rendon, Ohtani. They got some bats. Your thoughts on the Dodgers and the Angels?
Yeah, so I said this before the year because I know that people were much higher on the Athletics than they were the Angels, and for some obvious reasons. Because the Angels, the Athletics have a better staff, better bullpen. But the Angels have 3 guys that were top 6 in MVP projections, at least as far as odds go, between Trout, Rendon, and Ohtani. And look, you're a lefty in the middle of this lineup. Like, when you have to face Trout, Rendon back to back, like that is not a fun dynamic duo to go up against. Now this line here, you got to figure people are going to look at this and just want to lay, like whenever you see a good pitcher like that in -150, -160, like your mind is just going to naturally gravitate towards laying a half run first 5 at -110. But like Kershaw's going to have to get through that top of the lineup twice. And then look, Patrick Sandoval, nothing amazing. I wouldn't say he's all that bad either, though. Again, small sample. Didn't throw much last year in the majors, only about 40 innings or so. But not awful. That Dodgers lineup scary for me. If I'm going to target this game, it'll probably be the over. I know the total is 9, but if you assume the Angels could tag Kershaw for a few, you got to figure the Dodgers are going to also tag Sandoval for at least a few. So for me, over would make sense. Maybe even first 5 over, just because I know the Dodgers pen's pretty good. Angels pen is really not that great, to be honest. But again, it's not a spot I love, but it's hard to imagine Kershaw goes through that lineup a few different times and doesn't give up, doesn't at least make you sweat that he's going to give up runs.
Hey, the Padres and the Diamondbacks are the next one. What is the first 5 total going to be? 4.5? 4.5.
If it's 9, it'll be 5.
All right, so you got to go over 5 and then -10. So this is my game here: San Diego and Arizona. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of runs early in this game. You've got a terrific pitching matchup. Dinelson Lamet's my boy. This guy has carried a no-hitter into the 5th in his last 2 starts. He has been absolutely remarkable. He's got one of the most devastating sliders in Major League Baseball, something the Diamondbacks are going to struggle with. You got Merrill Kelly, who's coming up. This kid's a stud too, right? I mean, 2-1. He's got 2.29. He's got 15 Ks. Get in the advanced stats if you want to, but I really like both these pitchers. You were on the Padres from the get-go, and they were a little disappointing that first week, but you're right about them. I mean, they're scoring runs. They've got a great rotation. It's a really fun team. They were beating up the Dodgers, man. Didn't they win that series? I think they at least
game 4 is going on as we do this video.
So that's it. So it's 2-1 in the game. And I had the Padres tonight. Did you have the Padres? Or did you just hang?
I tailed Big T.
Oh, you tailed Big T? I got to tell you right now, I laid off Big T for one night. Dude, 20 bets, I can't handle it anymore. My mind just blows up. I'm like, I don't even know which ones are my bets and his bets. So that's it. I'm not taking any Big T today.
But yeah, the Dodgers are piling on runs tonight against them. But for Padres, yeah, I think when you talk about a complete baseball team, this team, and they're not even getting a good showing from their bullpen. Their bullpen's like very above average. I mean, we talk about the names in it, the year these guys had last year, and then, Kirby Yates as the closer, like up and down the lineup. That is a tough lineup to find holes in. And again, it's only a matter of time before who's my boy, top of the lineup for the Padres.
Tatis?
Yeah, only a matter of time before he's the best player in baseball.
Oh God, would you stop it?
Oh, I mean, look, dude.
Trout's got another 3 years, and guess who's better than him? Juan Soto. Juan Soto.
I'll tell you what, Tatis plays the game with a bunch of swag too, which is cool. I know a lot of young guys like him. Guys like him are fun for baseball. Definitely need more of him, or guys like him. Soto too. Soto's a lot of fun to watch too. I guess that's the problem from a market standpoint with Trout, right? Like he's so good, but like he's just not very marketable. He's very to himself, not a big public speaker. And look, it's no discredit to him at all. But from a marketing perspective for baseball, he's just not easy to market. Whereas a guy like I remember Francisco Lindor was very easy to market. Juan Soto's easy to market. Like people loved him in the World Series. Him grabbing his balls on every bad pitch. That's kind of stuff baseball needs. But not to get too much on a tangent. Padres are a complete team, and Lamet's been incredible. Merrill Kelly had great home road splits last year. It was a guy I liked targeting last year specifically at home, not so much on the road. And here another decent start to the year for him. Under would definitely make sense first 5 here. So I don't mind that call at all.
So what's the smallest bet you would ever like? Would you make a $10 bet? What's the lowest number you're going out? 500? Like what do you bet?
Yeah, so I bet 1,000 a game. If I do a half unit, it'll be 500. But for me, lowest I'd bet. I mean, I guess on a future that's like 10-1. Maybe like $100, $50, $100.
Yeah. You go 50 because I'll go 50 with Tatis versus Soto home runs the rest of the year.
Well, I want to be clear that Tatis is more of a complete player.
Okay.
So like Tatis, it's all. I mean, I'd bet right now he goes 40-40 once in the next 3 years.
I mean, listen, he's a great player. There's no doubt about it. He's gonna be right there. Soto's gonna be right there. There's just some great baseball players in this game right now. It's a lot of fun to watch. Anyways, this game, are we done with it? I like
you like the under, right? First 5?
5 under is going to be my play here because I think there'll be 4 or less. It depends on the juice, but it's not going to be more than -10, right? It's not going to be.
Well, it depends if this moves. Like if it goes to 8.5, it'll drop to 4.5. But if it's sitting at 9, it'll be 5. And some books might be 5.5. Some books might be 4.5, where you have to pay dog money for the under. But either way, it'll be 5. The consensus will be 5.
I'll be fine. Okay, good. That'll be good. Last one, Frankie Montas. How about this A's rotation? It's awesome, man. He had 14 Ks in 14 innings last week. I believe he was the pitcher of the week in the American League too. Then there's old Johnny Cueto. You ever seen Johnny's pictures with his dead horses?
No.
Yeah, it's disturbing. Yeah, because he's a big horse guy, and his horse died. And he poured one out for his horse, and he took some pictures with him. There was no necrophilia or anything. Don't get crazy with that, JJ. He's a good dude. I like JJ. Anyways, this has nothing to do with betting. So Frankie Montas, love him. Don't sleep on the top of the Giants order. Dickerson, Yastrzemski, these guys have been putting up runs lately. Look at what they did to Kershaw last week. So I like – look at what they did. I think it was yesterday too. They're putting up some runs. Cueto's not the same pitcher that he was in the past. So, I mean, if in everything in a vacuum, the A's should be heavily favored. And guess what? -180. I mean, they're extraordinarily heavy favorites here. So I just don't – baseball's just too unpredictable. I'm not even bothering with that number. It's pretty easy to me. What do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be probably one of those late game hammers for a lot of sports bettors tomorrow night. One of those games where you add the A's and maybe another team for -180 into a 2-team parlay and pay a little over 1-to-1. But for me, just a tough game to handicap at the numbers that it is. And look, Montas has been tremendous. Cueto's probably been average at best. A's are definitely starting to swing the sticks. Well, they quieted down a bit against the Angels, but then found life late in the third game. Tough game overall to handicap. And again, not one I'm going to really want any part of. Line's too big. Giants are hitting. A's probably should be this big. And I'm not a fan of the total either. So just a spot I'm going to stay away from.
Seriously, dude, how does anyone come up with 5 picks a night in baseball? It's amazing to me that you can 5 games or 3 or 4 games consistently, because for me, 1 or 2 and I'm done.
I think all you can do if you're somebody that truly is betting, we'll say, I know Big T gives out a lot of plays, right? But they're half for NBA, half for baseball. But if you're somebody who wants to bet like 12, 15 games a night, what you have to do is you literally have to create your own lines, right? And literally just drop them into buckets. And then as the market moves numbers into your favorable ranges, into your, I'll call them buckets, then you can fire. Okay. So, whatever. Don't even look at the odds. Create your own lines, whether you're using your own projections, your own algos, sims, whatever. Create your own lines. And then obviously you want to backlog your whatever data you're using so you could project properly forward. Then use, of course, your own subjectiveness with your own numbers, because you can't bet numbers alone. Ultimately, you won't win money that way. But once you do that, you give yourself a discipline where you're only going to bet numbers that drop into the specific buckets. And then look, if there's a night where 8 numbers drop into your specific buckets, you bet 8 games. If it's 3 games, whatever. But if you're going to bet that many games, I think that's the only way rationally that would make sense.
Yeah, I can't do it. And Big T's hitting too, man. It's not like he's just writing shit down and throwing. He's good. Just volume bettors to me. It's just something I can't get into. It's so tough picking 1 or 2 games, JJ, that I got so many notes here. I can't figure it out. The only bet I like I said, I kind of like the Cubs, but I feel really good about that Padres first 5 under. That's my pick. What are you, Reds?
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm that Reds Pirates under.
All right, I'll be telling you. Anyways, I want to say this again. I learn a ton from you. I'm a bettor. I love betting. I'm much more casual than you, but I know a lot about it. I study it. And I actually take this as an education for me. If you're watching these videos, I highly recommend it. And I'm not blowing you. I'm telling you the truth here. I'm learning a lot. On top of it, there's a lot of intricacies with it. It's one thing to get the picks, but there's so many other things that are going around. You do a terrific job.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Holden.
Any questions? Anybody? Anything? No?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. Holden just booked it. I tell you what, you're gonna need that little llama to tomorrow. We got 2 unders first fives. We're always gonna sweat those.
It's the worst. Betting unders suck. It's not fun.
Nobody bets unders because you don't like do a line of Coke and then bet unders. Like it doesn't work like that.
Imagine doing a line of Coke and an under. That's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely dreadful. But no, look, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you found the video helpful. So I apologize again for my little misspeak on the game. Hopefully you didn't hear me the first game and then fire right away on that bet. But ultimately, again, I like the Reds under, and Holden likes the Padres game under first 5. But thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for chatting with us. And yeah, we'll be back Saturday morning, figure about 12 o'clock Eastern-ish to talk the Saturday slate. And other than that, guys, thanks again. We'll see you Saturday. There'll be a few more live shows from the Keg this weekend. And look, just stay safe, everyone. Thanks again.